it, it doesn't have to be spontaneous. I try to tell people that all the time. Spontaneity doesn't.
Welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
No, we did use a fishing pole this time. Normally we don't, because we don't have very good success. Normally I get a big cast net. It's about 8 feet wide in diameter, and then my son gets a little net that's about this big. So when I catch the fish, I can just put him in his net, and then he can sit in the water, watch him swim around in his net, and I can catch more fish. That's normally what we do, but this time he did not want to do that. He wanted to use a fishing pole.
Okay.
And I knew going in that it was going to be a short endeavor, and it was short. But there's so much effort to go in. That was the whole point of me telling you the story, was that he's inviting me into these adventures, and I'm working on enjoying them for the moment, because 5 minutes in, he's wanting to get in the water. He's fully clothed. He's not in a swimsuit like we were, but yet now he's already getting in the water. His shoes are wet, his socks are wet, now his shorts are wet, his underwear, and it's like, and I'm like trying not to get frustrated. And so finally I was just like, okay, well then just take your shoes off, and you can do that. And I just said, I'm doing my best to not get frustrated. I told him that. He said, just let it go. Just let it go. Yeah. Just let it go. Look. And he starts telling me about, rocks or whatever they found in the mud. I'm just thinking, like, I didn't bring extra clothes, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, sounds fun. I know about the cast net, but I think I bought one time. I don't know if I ever tried it, but I don't know. Maybe I threw it away. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where it's at this point. But I'm aware of those, and I've seen people do it, but I haven't heard of people catching. I think I would use it to catch my minnows. Yeah. No, for sure. You generally do. It just never fails that while we're catching minnows and shad, you'll catch a crappie or a bass or whatever. And then it's like, and it's funny because Hunter likes to play with like the little fish irregardless. So he's excited, and then all of a sudden you pull out, like an 8-inch bass, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Because I know that's good. It's nice.
It could barely fit in his net, and now he's freaking out. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about your business. What's going on? I think what we can do is we can just talk about our business and just share. We don't have to have some kind of a hierarchical strategy necessarily. I mean, what's going
on? Well, I did have something that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm happy to give it.
Well, can you do an update first though? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So after that whole LinkedIn deal, it's been a little difficult. So I have to.
Is that still unresolved?
It's resolved. It's fixed. But I'm being cautious with it, obviously, because it's a main source.
Well, so not to get hacky here, but you can use a VPN, and the VPN, I think they're $10 a month or $8 a month, but you can use a VPN or have somebody use a VPN and have that show whatever location you want.
Right. So that was one of the questions asked. I do know, and this may be the same thing, and I just don't know the terminology. I do know that people who have used VAs overseas have had like a home laptop, and the person just logs into that laptop. Is that what it is?
That's a cool idea. I mean, maybe that would work too, because it's the same IP address. It's a clever idea. I would have to think about how to do that, but this is actually like ExpressVPN is one of them. There's Surfshark. There's a couple different ones. There's NordVPN and NORD that can all sort of like protect your traffic as well as have you show up in the internet as coming from a certain location.
Yeah. Well, maybe I need to look at. The problem is that when you got 3, 4, 5 people, including myself, utilizing.
Yeah, that'd be expensive because I mean, even if it's like $8 a month or $6 a month, that adds up.
Yeah, it does. It just doesn't seem like that's the right deal. I think, I don't know how functionally it works, but I know it does because I've been a part of it. I just don't know what the end user, the person in my situation, what they did, but they just had a home laptop and it was just always on. And the only function was for their assistant overseas to log in and do, and it was just like the person was sitting there, but they were, so you could sit there and watch what they were doing,
I mean, that's fine if you have stable internet somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
or it's some family member's house that would be stable.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be with me. It would be at my brother's or my parents. I mean, it would just sit there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You can just sit.
I
in the
like
closet.
the idea.
You don't have to have it out. I mean,
No,
you can
not
just
at all.
sit in the closet.
Just make sure it doesn't go to sleep. There's a few settings that but that's not it's something that could be figured out for sure. You can get desktop computers, for very cheap these days, probably like $299. So it's not off the table.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a spare laptop.
Oh, sweet.
Already.
Okay.
That I use it for whenever I log in to a customer account. That way I can it's just always there. So I never have to like bump myself out or something like that on my own laptop. That makes sense?
No.
So on this laptop that I'm talking about that's extra, the only thing I use it for is whenever I log into a customer's account. So I log into their Facebook or whatever to either give myself access or to, sometimes they're not doing some of the things I'm asking them to do. Like, hey, you're gonna have to share your own post, your own personal stuff. And so it's a way for me to get in and stay in without having to save your passwords. Because I'll just take the laptop, have the customer sign in. I don't know your stuff, but now I'm signed in.
Okay.
And, you know what I'm saying? And so then if I ever need to switch from Facebook account to whatever, I'm not kicking myself out and trying to have to log back in, because then you're just logged in one time and you're just always in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's such a pain in the beginning of the process to like, okay, so I log in, now you got to approve, you got to do your what's it called?
Two-factor.
Yeah, your
text you, verification, email, or whatever.
Yeah, and you got 5 minutes or else it expires. I mean, it's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So it's just one of those ways that whenever you first agree, we're going to sit down, you're going to do all this right here when I'm sitting with you, and then I'll never have to do it again.
Totally got it. How's it going with some of the traffic that you were getting with people talking to you and proposals and all that? How's that going?
Yeah, steady proposals going out, steady traffic. I mean, and nothing has closed, but it's one of those that one of them, the business is doing okay. They're seeing a steady stream. And so it's one of those where they know they need to move, but because things are okay, it's not number one priority. And I just told them, I totally get it. I said, the problem is that you don't want it to become number one priority, but I'm not going to make it number one priority for you. You need to make it number one priority. And I just said, you don't want to, and we've talked about this in the sowing and reaping, you don't want to sow seeds when you need a harvest. You want to sow seeds while you're cleaning, while you're harvesting right now, so that there's just a steady flow. I'm harvesting. Oh, this is growing over here.
I'm telling my team about that right now. I have some team members that are so busy working on opportunities that their prospecting has, fallen off, and I love them and they're doing a good job. And today I sent them a very gentle message about that. I'm not yelling at anybody. But just like, hey, if you've, I pulled a report last 3 weeks, the activity's down for some people. If that's because you're working on opportunities too much, then cool, good for you. I'm glad you've got opportunities to work. But just, budget your time. And because like you said, if you don't plant seed when you're harvesting, then what happens is you're in these huge, troughs where it's like there's nothing. And then you're kind of like in the dark, you're desperate because you weren't prospecting all along. And, listen, I'm
Yeah.
ADD. So I'm
Yeah.
ADD. I mean, I understand what it's hard to do 15 things, or even 4 things really well at the same time. So you're working like a certain number of opportunities. And then, okay, now I also have to prospect and I also have to generate events or whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
I get it, but I have to, it's
Yeah.
my job to remind them and kind of like bring them back to first principles.
Yeah. Or what happens is you sow seed and then you cultivate it before it's ready, and in our harvest time, sowing and reaping, we talked about that. Nobody enjoys eating a green banana,
Mhm.
I mean, you can eat it, go ahead, but nobody enjoys it. And that's what happens whenever you sow too late. You're like, I'm starving, I have to eat something. And so you go grab all these green bananas, from your leads, and it's just, they're not ripe. They're not ready. And maybe they do work and maybe you do get some filling out of it. But I mean, most of the time, either they cancel early or something goes wrong because they're not ready. And so that's really where I told the customer, my potential customer, I told them that I'm not going to snag you if you're a green banana, but I'm telling you, if you walk in here and you're beat up, your expectations are going to be unrealistic. And so it would be best to do things now. It gives you that time, gives you that window of the soaker hose where things are just happening, and it's in addition to what you already have, and it gives you the room to grow. But it has to be your decision. I'm not going to do it for you,
Yeah.
And they I mean, obviously customers love that, but again, for me, it's like, I'm not going to force your desperation, you know. So, and then I've had a couple of other solos who are trying to get their corporate accounts to cover cost, so it's one of those where you don't know.
What
Makes
does that
sense.
mean? No, what does that mean?
So I'll
What do
just
you
give you
mean
an
by
example.
solo?
So you have somebody who is in a position where they could have their corporate company cover the cost of my services of JL.
Sure, of
and
course.
so, and so they're working to see if they can get that covered. So it's one of
Okay.
these where they said, yeah, we want to do this, but if I can get whoever corporate to cover half or all of it, then let me see if they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why an individual would be in the like personally doing that at all. I feel like it would be corporate. I feel like it'd be corporate.
I'll give you an example. This is not the example. I'll just give you an example. It's like State Farm. So you can have a State Farm rep who, they're on their own. They got their own business, blah, blah, blah. But, State Farm does cover a portion of marketing, advertising, whatever cost.
Okay.
And so, because
that made sense. That made sense.
I've done something like that through one of my clients.
Yeah.
That's how I know that example. I was a conduit for one client to State Farm, and that's how I know about that example.
Question: how's it going with the marathon company?
I'm more of an advisor now. They've shifted their focus.
I would think outdoor events like that would be
well,
not
things.
dead.
No, things are going well. They've just shifted their focus from what we were doing.
Okay.
And for better, for worse, I wish them luck. But I'm more of a closer, which is not, again, it's not my ideal. It's not where I'm best suited.
Yeah.
But I'm the way they're set up. It's a good role for what they need. So.
Yeah, that's good. Well, what else is going on, or do you want to talk about or wrap a little bit about your topic?
I want to touch base on you and what's going on with you.
Sure, we can.
And then we can pause, because we can just kind of allow this to kind of be like a catch up of,
I'm so fine with that.
and then,
I mean,
and then
I'm really,
and then go into something else.
yeah, because I'm really, I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of two-person podcasts that they kind of, that I listen to, like the Joe Rogan podcast. They're not business related, but I still like the idea of that it's kind of free floating. There might be like, a specific direction. But then I've also heard other podcasts where it's non-guest based, where they rap about topics too. Although I'm trying to remember what it was. I had the thought the other day. I was like, okay, that's kind of like us. But anyway, yeah, I can give a quick update and then we can wrap on stuff. But I like the little bit of a free flowing thing too. But yeah, with me, I guess obviously I still work for the cybersecurity company, and we're building pipeline. I've got 5 territories across the Southwest, and some of them need pipeline more. We're having a hard time with in-person events. We're having a hard time with in-person visits across certain areas. Like LA is pretty hard to work with right now.
Like
Austin,
landing them,
it's really hard to like get a meeting because they don't want to take a face-to-face meeting. So that I'm struggling with certain in-person areas. I'm in Austin right now, and we visited 3 accounts today, and pretty much they were shut down. Like they had a receptionist, and that was it. We brought donuts by to try to get attention, which has worked in the past. Like in Houston, it's a little bit more open right now. So I'm kind of struggling with special pipeline generation techniques right now. Struggling with just needing more pipeline.
How's the sequence going? Any more buy-in or?
I feel like this. No, I looked, and not really. Not over the past few weeks. Really struggling with that as well. I brought it up again today. Coincidentally, I brought it up probably 2 hours ago, because some of my reps were focusing so much on deals, they weren't prospecting as much. And there's that that whole seesaw that people focus on one or the other. They need to be better at doing both. So I reminded him about that sequence, and was like, guys, it's done. It's like a very advanced sequence, like it's done for you. So feel free to use that, or if you don't want to build your own. So yeah, I'm really helpful. I would say that I had a retreat. So so not everybody knows this, but I had a retreat. I went to Broken Bow, Oklahoma with my wife. We rented a boat. It's kind of for my anniversary, but it's also kind of like a spiritual retreat, like a little bit of a recharge for me, because I really haven't had that in a long time. And so I was just like spending a lot of time in personal reflection and prayer and reading, and spent time with my wife, and we rented a boat one day, which is really cool. And that was really good. And it's just kind of, during that time, it kind of I had a lot of sort of like things that were refreshed to me about my life and my business and how I operate. And, some of those things I'm trying to pass along to my team as well. Not so much on spiritual side as much, but some of the core principles that you would find spiritual or otherwise. I'll tell you one of them right now, which I would love to share, which is that, in business and in life and in career and in the key objectives that for example, even in your nonprofit, like you may sometimes feel that you're having to walk forward into darkness. And, but the key is like, there's treasure in that darkness, but you have to walk forward into it, and you have to walk forward not knowing. You have to walk forward sometimes based on on your inspiration, and based on a hunch, and based on your best bet. You try to, it's almost like that leap of faith that you make in the religious context. It's like you do your best research and you do your best reflection, but at the end of the day, you have to make a choice. And that's how it is with faith, for example. It's like, there's a lot of facts that lead you to a point of making your faith decision. And there's a lot of evidence and facts and testimonials, but at the end of the day, the faith decision is one that is a there is a final step that's a leap into darkness. And so what I was reflecting on during my time off was that in the business world, there's a lot of that. Like we do our best research, we do our best work, preparation, but at the end of the day, you do have to walk forward into darkness. And that final step, and sometimes that final step can be like months. And you know that, you're still in that step. Like you're still walking forward, you know? And so I feel like having the discipline and the courage to walk forward into darkness is really important. And I had a bunch of other thoughts and revelations during this time of prayer and meditation and reading and also just hanging out with my wife. That were pretty awesome. But yeah, I had a great time to recharge. I recommend it to everybody of just unplugging and, putting the phone down and going out of town, and hopefully you can be in the woods. I was physically in the woods, like actually in a cabin. So it's highly recommend it. But yeah, it's one little revelation I got out of the time.
Very cool.
I had lived a decade of my life just trying to avoid giants. I realized how meaningless and how frustrating my life was.